The reason I think there is a crisis is if you really look back when a lot of people thought that there was, coming out of the global financial crisis, that there was a glut of property in Ireland. In actual fact, there wasn't. Because at the end of 2012, there was a survey done of the 15 wealthiest nations in Europe. And in terms of the number of houses per thousand of population, and Ireland was the lowest of the 15 nations with 342 houses per 1,000.
But didn't we build the houses in the wrong places, the ghost estates and all of that?
Well, there's no doubt there was houses in the wrong places. But overall, as an entirety in the nation, we came from a bad base. We came from a low base. And so there was this, I think there even still is the perception that, in 2010 we had just far too many houses. We didn't. We didn't have far too many houses. Certainly we had houses in places where you would have been desiring that they were in the more urban locations. But as a stock across the nation, we weren't, even after a number of years of significant housing completions, we didn't have a glut of property in the country. So I believe we've been part of the reason why we have had the difficulty for the last number of years is because we were coming from a low base. And even with that strong construction boom that was there for a number of years, it still left us from. So
there was a structural deficit there right through.
There was. If you look at it by comparison with other EU nations, so we were coming from a, and then of course we know that completions were very, very low for a number of years because the issues around credit, the issues around the fact that the construction industry was on its knees. And so it's taken years, and so we've had years where there was 8,000 housing completions in some of the intervening years, and that's only continued to ensure that there was a gap between what the country needed and so it's hopefully beginning to right size now in terms of the number of completions. And I know that when I was on the board at NAMA, the perception at that time was that the right number was in the region of 30,000 or just over 30,000 housing completions was what the market needed. We're still not there. So even on a recurring basis, there's a little bit of an imbalance continuing to grow on a year-by-year basis. And I do think it does. I do agree with Fidelma. I think there's an issue around the affordability, particularly around that family that are kind of on that industrial average wage. That's very, very difficult, particularly if they're in urban locations or they're doing an awful lot of travelling. And so I think there is going to be a much, much more greater focus on the issue of affordable housing into the future.